Now in the Mamorim Melukotim in Chelik Beis, we're doing what we call the 24th Maimer. And the Maimer begins with Vayigash Elov Yehuda. That the Rebbe said during the Shabbos Parshas Vayigash in the year Tovshin Chavhei. And this was published later on in a booklet for Hey Tavis, Tinose, Tovshinun Aleph. And this was, as it says over there in the introduction of that Maimer, when they published it, that this was published for the Holy Shabbos, the Parshas Vayigash, the Yom HaBoyer of Hey Tavis, the day of the Dan Notzach, that it was clear, in a way, that it was clear for all the nations. It was in the federal courthouse that the victory was, as far as the Sepharim and the writings of our Rebbes, our leaders that are in the Lubavitch library, that is Hey Tavis, Erev Shabbos Kodesh Parshas Vayigash Nas Tinose. So this was also in association with Hey Tavis, with the victory in the federal courts, that they determined that the Sfarim belonged to Chabad. So that's a very special note, and that's the Maimer was given out before that Shabbos Hey Tavis. So it's a Maimer of Parshas Vayigash, Vayigash Eiliv Yehuda. Of course, in Tovshin Chavhei, that was before the whole story over there. That was before the court came, before the Sfarim were taken. But that Maimer was published, from what the Rebbe had said in Tovshin Chavhei, was published there. All right, so let's go. We'll do the Maimer. Vayigash Elov Yehuda. We talk about the two tribes. We talk about Yehuda and Yosef over here. We know that the Jewish people were basically divided into two main tribes. There was the tribe of Yehuda and Binyamin, and then there was the tribe of the Aseres Hashvatim, which was headed by Yosef, by Yerovam ben Nevat, comes from the tribe of Yosef. So we also read in the Haftorah, as we'll see, it talks about bringing together. Vayigash Elov Yehuda, meaning that to Yosef, Yehuda came close. So it's a connection between Yehuda and Yosef. So Vayigash Elov Yehuda Goimer, so Yehuda came close to him, to Yosef, etc. Ube Haftorah, the Parshas Vayigash, and then in the Haftorah that we read in the portion of Vayigash, Lemar, over there it's written, Kach l'cho eitz echod. Take for you one. This is a pasuk in Yecheskel that we read in the Haftorah. Take one wood, uksoiva lov Yehuda gomer, and on it you should write for Yehuda and the people that go with Yehuda. Ulekach eitz echod, and then take another one wood, uksoiva lov, and on that you should write Yosef gomer, for Yosef, etc. V'karav oisom echod, v'karav oisom echod el echod, and bring them one to one to grow. By you, make them into one wood instead of the two. You make them into one. There'll be one in your hands. So we also read about that union, that unity. Just like here, Yehuda is coming to Yosef. Over there, we're talking also about the union of the house of Yehuda and the house of Yosef. So it would seem that Hashaychus, the Haftorah la Parsha, he bazeh, that what's the connection of the Haftorah to the Parsha? We know that the Haftorah is always connected to the Parsha. So what is the connection? Shetoichen d'shneihem, because the theme of both of them, who chibur Yehuda v'Yosef, and both in the Parsha, in the Haftorah, we're talking about connecting Yehuda and Yosef. But there is, when you go into specific, you see there's a difference between the Parsha and the Haftorah. In the Parsha, the main is Yosef, and we're bringing Yehuda to Yosef. In the Haftorah, the main is actually Yehuda, because it says Nosi, David will be the Nasi Alehem. He will be the one. So it's Yehuda. I will be Proteus. But when you go into detail, Vagoshas Yehuda li Yosef Parsha. When Yehuda comes to Yosef in our Parsha, Vayigash Elav Yehuda, Mudgesh is emphasized. She Yosef Hoya Naila Yosef Yehuda. Over there, it's emphasized that Yosef was higher, more than Yehuda. He was greater than Yehuda. But Yosef Hoya Melech Al Kol Echav, to the extent that Yosef was a king over his brothers, Kol Yehuda. That includes Yehuda. So who was the king? It was Yosef. So the emphasis, you bring everybody to Yosef. But the Haftorah Nemar, on the other hand, in the Haftorah it says, V'avdi David Melech Aleim. You bring him together, it comes to one wood. But who is the king? Abdi David. That's the king. That's from the Yehuda. He's going to be the king. And that's explained in the Torah. In the Torah, it explains that when you talk about the Sfiros, so you see in the order of Sfiros, Yosef is above Yehuda. Yosef is Zoh, and Yehuda is Malchus. But in the future to come, Malchus, Eishes Chayla Teres Baila, Malchus will be higher than Zoh. It also discusses there the way the layout in the Mishkan versus the Beis Hamikdash. So over there it says in Torah Oir that the Yosef who Yisoid Zoh, Yosef is the element of Zoh, Zeir Ampin, and Yehuda who Malchus, and Yehuda is Malchus. V'lochein Achshav, now, as opposed to the future, Yosef hu l'mayla Yehuda. Yosef is on a higher level than Yehuda. Zoh is greater than Malchus. Can we say that Ishtalshlus, because when there's the order of the Ishtalshlus, Zoh hu l'mayla Malchus. Zoh is higher than Malchus. Not only is Zoh higher than Malchus, Zoh is which passes along and gives the flow to Malchus. You say to Mizum, not only is Zoh higher than Malchus, Zoh who mashpil Malchus. Zoh gives the flow to Malchus. Because this is also what it says in the Pasuk. When he says, the Pasuk says, V'zohu vayigash Elav Yehuda, vayomer bi Adoni. So Yehuda comes close to Yosef and he says, please, my master. What does it mean, please, my master? Please, my master, he wanted the Hamshocha. The Pirush bi Adoni, who, what does it mean, please, my master? What does that mean? That is, Sheb Yehuda, that be in me, be Adoni, not please, be means in me. Be Yumshoch Hashefa me Yosef HaTzadik Adoni. Be Adoni, that the Adoni, who is Yosef HaTzadik, Adoni, the level of Zoh should be mamshich in me into the level of Yehuda. That is the way it's in order of the Shtalshlus. That is the way it's now. Well, also love it. But in the future to come, at that time, the root of Malchus will be revealed. Which is higher than the root of Zoh. Meaning that now in Ishtalshlus, Malchus is on a lower level. But really, Malchus in root is higher than Zoh. And in the future, that will be revealed. That's why my servant David will be the king over them. It will be Yehuda and David HaMelech that will be the king. But the Rebbe adds that the fact even the second part, the idea, the Haftorah, which talks about the advantage of Yehuda, Avdi David, Melech Aleichem, is still read on the Parshas Vayigash. So that means that even in the Vayigash, in which the surface says that Yosef should be mamshich to Yehuda, that Yosef is greater than Yehuda, we also have the point of Yehuda being greater than Yosef, and Abdi David Melech Aleim is the Haftorah of this parsha. Avol mizeh shegam haposik ve'Abdi David Melech Aleim hu beha'Haftorah the parshas Vayigash. The fact that also the posik that my servant David is a king over them is part of the Haftorah in the portion of Vayigash. Mashma. So here it appears Shebevayigash Elav Yehuda Yeshno Gam Hamailad Yehuda Legabe Yosef. That even when Yehuda comes to Yosef, which says that Yosef is in high madrega, but there's also exists the advantage of Yehuda relative to Yosef. Because that's the Haftorah says that, and the Haftorah is part of the portion of Vayigash. What is emphasized openly in the revealed way when we say Vayigash Elav Yehuda? Hu hamayla de Yosef legabe Yehuda. That's the advantage of Yosef relative to Yehuda. Uv'Haftorah hamayla de Yehuda legabe Yosef, and in the Haftorah over there openly, it's emphasized the advantage of Yehuda relative to Yosef. Base. V'yesh l'kasher zeh im hamevur bedrushei hatzamach tzedek. We can tie this idea that even in Vayigash Elav Yehuda, there is a point in which you see that Yehuda is the king, as in the Haftorah. So this is connected. We can tie this to what's explained in the Mamorim Tzemach Tzedek. Over there it says, the Zeh shesoifei tevis Vayigash Elav Yehuda. The last letters in the word Vayigash, the Shin of Vayigash, and Elav, the Vav of Elav, and Yehuda, Hu Shaveh. That means the word Shaveh means equal. Basically, in the word Vayigash Elav Yehuda, we're emphasizing in the last letter over there that they're Shaveh, that they're equal, that Yehuda is equal to Yosef. Ki inyan Vayigash Elav Yehuda, because the idea of Vayigash Elav Yehuda, hu shahamalchus Yehuda v'zo Yosef, that the Malchus and Zo, which is Yehuda and Yosef's name, Shavim, they're both equal, even though Vayigash Elav Yehuda, openly Yehuda comes to Yosef, but Shaveh, meaning that they're really equal. Tzemach Tzedek explains the Inyan Shaveh. What is the idea that they're equal? Hu al derech mashekosu b'Likutei Torah. So similar to that which is written in Likutei Torah, b'pirush hakosuv, and the pasuk explaining the verse, Lasos hayoshor be'enei Hashem. It means the pasuk says to do what is yoshor, what is straight, what is correct in the eyes of Hashem. What does it mean, yoshor, correct, straight in the eyes of Hashem? The inyan yoshor hu hachibur v'hayichud, the das elyon v'das tachtin. The idea of yoshor, straight, that is the connection and the union of the upper view, the view from above, the das tachtin, and the lower view, the view from below, which is, in other words, yichuda ilah, the unity from above, which there is no existence, and Yehuda Tato, that there is a subjugation of the lower. These two views, Sheshneim Hem B'Shavet, these two levels of Yehuda Elohim and Yehuda Tato are united, and they're both equal. Lemeheve Echad Be'echad. to be one connected to the other. Meheve echad be'echad, as we say in the Zohar, we say it in the Shabbos, Friday night. The Yosef, the Yehuda, k'moshe mitzad atzmon. Before you have the Yoshar, before you have the connection, you have Yosef and Yehuda on their own. They're almost like two opposites. To be Yosef Zo, because Yosef, which is the level of Zo, Zeir Ampin, Shehu Mil Mailu Lemata, that is from above to below, Hu Das Elyon. That's the view of the supreme of above. Shalamat Lo Yesh Ulamata Ayin. That what is above is the entity, and what's below is nothing. Ubi Yehuda Malchus, and by Yehuda in the level of Malchus, Shehu Mil Mata Lemaila, which is from below to above. Hu Das Tachten. That is the view of the low. Shalamata Yesh Lemaila Ayin, that below is the entity and above is nothing. The Inyan, the above is not an ayin because not understood. The Inyan Vayigash Eilov Yehuda, and the fact that Yehuda comes to Yosef who achibur the das elyon v'das tachten, that is the connection of the upper view with the lower view. Yehuda and Yosef come together. So Shomer Razal al Aposik Vayigash Eilov Yehuda. Our sages tell us in the pasuk of Yigash Elav Yehuda, Yalkut Shimoni. It says that this is an idea of shalom. That the getting together means that an idea of shalom. Ein vayigash, Yigash Elav Yehuda, ein vayigash elav loshen shalom. That vayigash means it's a language of peace. The inyan hasholem. The idea of the peace, that is when you connect the upper view with the lower view together. Similar to what it is written, that the Bnei Yehuda and the Bnei Yisrael will be coming together, a pasuk in Isaiah, that they will get together, the Bnei Yehuda and the Bnei Yisrael. They will gather all together. And then and they'll make one head over them. Meaning that everybody will be together under one head. The Achshav Havayda, the Bnei Yehuda. Now it's two separate. The service of the Bnei Yehuda, Himilmato Lemailo, that's from below to above, that's Tachten, the lower view. Ba'avodah the Bnei Yisrael, and the service of the Bnei Yisrael, which is Haseres Hashvatim, Sheshayochem LeYosef, the 10 tribes, it's Yisrael, they are connected to Yosef because Yosef and them went together in Eretz Yisrael. Himil Ma'il Lamata is from above to below. Das Elyon, that's the view from above. But in the future, as the pasuk says, "V'nigbetzu b'nei Yehuda b'nei Yisrael," the future to come, they will connect together. To be one to one, be one leader, and there isn't going to be this separation. Move on. So from this we understand Shebahagoshas Yehuda liYosef Shnei Inyonim. There's really two aspects to. There is the revealed aspect in which Yehuda is asking B Adoni, that B should be Adoni, Zo should be Mashpia to him, but there's another aspect in which they're equal. By Yigash Elav Yehuda, the letters of Shava, which Yehuda and Yosef are equal. Shebagoshas Yehuda Yosef Shnei Inyanim. There's two aspects to Yehuda coming to Yosef. Shebegilui, in an open way. Ha'inyan dehagoshas Yehuda Yosef hu. What is the idea that Yehuda comes close to Yosef is Lefi she Yosef Yisoid Zo Hu HaMashpia. Yosef, which is the element of Zo, is the Mashpia. The Yehuda, and Yehuda is Malchus, Hu HaMakabel, is the recipient. So Yehuda comes to the Mashpia to give him. Yehuda Malchus is Makabel from Zo. Yehuda is Makabel from Yosef. And that's why Yehuda comes close to Yosef. And he requests be Adoni, that Adoni should be B. That he should have the flow of Yosef HaTzadik. But then, there's another aspect when Yehuda comes to Yosef, which is hinted in the last letters of the word Vayigash Eilov Yehuda. Shahu hachibur v'hayichud Yosef. That is the union and the connecting of Yosef, Zo das Elyon. Yehuda Malchus das tachten together, Zo and Malchus, Yehuda and Yosef, which will be in the future. Sheham Malchus tiya k'may hazo. Not in the level to receive from Zo, but to come close because he's equal to Zo. But Rebbe adds even more, not only equal, but in the future, actually, Yehuda, the level of Malchus, will be Mashpia to Zo. Based on this, we can say, Shebevayigash Eilov Yehuda merumas, that in the words, in the idea Yehuda came close to Yosef, it's also hinted Gam Ha'aliyah, the Malchus, also the advantage of Malchus, Sheyiyah La'asid Lavoi, the elevation of Malchus, which is going to be in the future. Shah Malchus Tiyah L'maylo Mizo, that it's going to be higher than Zo. As we say, Eishes Chayil, the wife of the Chayil, the Mekabel, the Eishes will become Ateres, the crown Baal, but the crown is higher, will be Mashpia to Baila, to her husband, which she was Mekabel. So this is even higher than the idea that they're both equal, but actually Malchus is even higher. We can say, this is what we find in the Zohar. Shehagoshas Yehuda li Yosef hu inyan smichas geula litfila. This is the idea that you bring the prayer of Goal Yisrael before the Amidah, you bring it next to the tefillah, next to the Amidah. So we have the idea of tefillah, which is Yehuda, and Geula is Yosef, and we bring, in this case, Yosef next to Yehuda, which means that Yehuda is the Amidah, is the main, and Yosef is brought to Yehuda. The Geula, he bechinas Yisoid, Yosef. Geula, that is the level, the element of Yosef. Utefillah, he bechinas Malchus, and prayer is kingdom Yehuda. So the Meloshin Razal, so the language of our sages of blessed memory, Smichas Geula litfila, we're bringing Geula to Tfila. Veloi Smichas Tfila leGeula. It doesn't say you bring the Tfila to the Geula, which means that the main thing is the Tefillah. And you're bringing the Geula to the Tefillah. Shat Tefillah, he be mekoima. The prayer remains in its place. Ugeula nismeches nigeshes litfila, and the Geula is brought close, and you bring it to tefillah. So move on. So from this we understand from the specific language that you bring the Geula to tefillah. Sha'ikir hu ha-tefillah, that the main thing is the tefillah. So, בזה שאומר בזוהר שהגושס יהודה ליוסף הוא עניין סמיכס גאולה לתפילה. From the fact that the Zohar says that Yehuda coming to Yosef is the same idea of smichas geulah tefillah mashma, it appears shegam b'hagoshas Yehuda liYosef, that even in when Yehuda comes to Yosef, which on the simple level Yehuda is coming to get from Yosef, that Yosef is higher. Yeshna behelem hamayla the Yehuda l'gabe Yosef. We also have an obscure, hidden, the advantage of Yehuda over Yosef, so that he's coming to, so he's coming to Yosef, but actually he's being mashpia to Yosef as is going to be in the future, because we have that level hidden in that Hagosh as well, because that means the smichas geula litfila, bringing geula to the tefillah, not the tefillah to the geula, which means the main is the tefillah is Yehuda, which is Malchus, and that is actually coming close, because we have in a hidden way the advantage of Yehuda over Yosef. Gimel. The Yuvan Zeh, so to understand this, it's Bahagdi by introducing Mashekosu, Admur Maharshab, as the Rebbe Rashab writes the Shmosei, the Dibur Hamaschil Zeh in this Maimer. The Zeh She Yehuda, the Rebbe Rashab writes that the Zeh She Yehuda Hiktim Chilo Bi Adoni. The fact that Yehuda introduces first, and it says Bi Adoni. The Lechaira, seemingly, he should have started straight up. Yedaber no abducho goymer. Let my servant say. Why does he have to say be adoni? The Rebbe Rashab explains Huki Inyan Kedimas Posik Hashem Sfosai Tiftach Koidem Atfilo. It's like we introduce the verse. We start off the Amida by saying, Hashem, open up my lips, and we do that before the davening. And that verse, Hashem Sfosei Tiftach, even though we just said that you have to be the Geula Litfila, the Baruch Hashem Goal Yisrael, right before the davening, Soimech Geula Litfila, that verse of Hashem Sfosei Tiftach that we say before the davening, She'ein Zeh Hepsek Ben Geula Litfila, that is not an interruption in between the bracha of Gal Yisrael and the davening, the Isra B'Gemara, as the Gemara says, Kivon the Tikinu Rabbanon L'Meiman Hashem Sfosai Tiftach. Since the rabbi instituted to open up the Amida with the verse, with the prayer of Hashem Sfosai Tiftach, is Ketfila Arichta Domi. That's considered like a part of the long prayer of the Amida, and therefore it's not an interruption, but it's incorporated. It becomes as a Tefillah Arichta, and it's not a hefsek. But nevertheless, the Rebbe Rashab explains that the Bi'adoni is Hashem's Sfosai Tiftach that we do before the davening. So V'hinei, the Targum ala Posuk, Hashem Sfosai Tiftach, the Targum translating the verse, Hashem Sfosai Tiftach of Fiyagitilasacha, that verse, Peter, she explains, She Sfoisai Posach Be'iraisa, that my lips he opened up, Sfosai Tiftach, that Sfosai opened up with Torah. Umevayir bekamet derushim, and in Mevur, and it's explained in many Mamorim, Hamevarim ha'inyan the Torah Tefillah, that explain the idea of Torah Tefillah v'gam b'drush hanal, and also in the above mentioned Maimer. The habakoshe shebeposik zeh shebascholos hatfilah hi. Now, what is the request that we say Hashem Sfosai Tiftach? What are we asking? Hishat Tefillah, that the prayer Ufi Yagi Tilasecha, that my mouth should say your Tila, Tia Kemoi Torah, that it should be like in the level of Torah. Sfoisai Psach Beiraisa that we're asking in this pasuk, in the beginning of the davening, that our tefillah, our prayer, which is the second part of the pasuk, should be like Hashem Svosei Tiftach Tiyek Meitoida, Hashem Svosei Tiftach Baraisa, that like we open up our mouth when we learn Torah. What is this so special over here, the mouth that we open up in Torah, that we're asking for the davening? The Kemoi, so they explained in the Mamorim, the Kemoi Shabbat Torah. Just like when we talk about Torah, HaTorah Sha'odom Loimed Hidvar Havaya. The Torah that the person is studying, that's the word of Hashem. As the Pasuk says, the Vorai Asher Samti Bificha, my words that I placed in your mouth, which means it's the Eibishter's words that we are repeating, it's in our mouth. And the person becomes like one who responds after somebody leads the reading. So Hashem said it in reading it, and we were sort of responding, reading the words of Hashem. So we're asking Hashem, so we're also asking, it should be in such a manner that my mouth should be saying or revealing or mamshich your praise. That the prayer of the person should be that through the prayer tumshach should extend. Yagid meloshen hamshocha. Yagid comes from meloshen extend. Your praise, that's the prayer of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that through the person that should be extend the prayer, the tefillah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The person should not be davening his own davening, but he should be bringing down through his mouth, drawing down the praise, the praise, the tefillah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we're asking basically in the pasuk that just like by Torah, there's the idea that it is dvoresh, something, it's the words of Hashem, so the prayer should be mamshich, the tefillah and the praise, the tefillah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So in the Mamorim now, in the above Mamorim, it's explained that Torah and prayer are similar to the two ideas. We say lemailo mailo ad ein kates, higher and higher, that the Eibishter is higher to no end, and also lamata mata ad ein tachlis, and also low to no end. So that's Torah and Tefillah are similar to these two aspects, higher and higher and lower. The Torah show Torah, which is drawn down, comes from above to below. That's similar to the idea, the concept, that it comes down below to no end. The Torah comes down below. And tefillah, which is elevation from below to above. That's similar to the idea of higher to no end. And based on that which is known. The Ein Sof is below to no end, which is the Shadish of Torah. We said Torah comes down all the ways below. That's the idea of the expansion and revelation. That he expands and he revealed to lowest and lowest to no end, always in the lowest level. That's the expansion of the Ein Sof. And the fact that the Ein Sof is higher to no end. That is, as he is elevated and he's included in his head, in essence, higher and higher to no end. Move on, it's understood Shahatoiro Shetfila Hulamaila Matoira. Understood that Tefillah is higher than Torah. Because that's the level of the Ein Sof as it's Nichlo Batzmusay. So therefore, so when we're saying Hashem Svosai Tiftoch Ufi Yagit Hilosachahi, so what are we asking? When we say Hashem Svosai Tiftoch Ufi Yagit Hilosachahi, Shahat Tefilo Shehi Milumata Lamailo. In the davening, which is from below to above, tiyagam hamayla the Torah, that should also contain, it should also have the advantage of Torah milmayla lamata, from above to below, so that in the tefillah should be the advantage of Torah. What does that mean? Well, the idea is the tefillah. What is prayer? The tefillah he sha'odam umevakesh umispalot. Prayer is the person asking and praying. V'gam ha'amshocha shal yidei ha'tefillah, and also what is drawn down, we accomplish through our davening. Zeh sha'kodesh baruch hu memales bakoshosoi, the fact that Hashem fulfills his request. So he mitzad hamayla da avodas hamata. So this is because of the advantage of the service of the below, that the Yid service to Hashem, lemaise yodecha tichsev, as the pasuk says, Hashem yearns for your action of your hand, your input, the avodah and the service of the person. That is the idea of tefillah, is the person is the center, that he needs to request, and he is the one that is helped, because that is the preciousness of the service of the person working from below. And we can say the mahatayim al zeh shetzorich lamed b'tefillah. One of the reasons that one needs to stand by the davening ke'eved lifnei rabbi, like a servant in front of his masters, with awe, with fear, with trembling. Who the reason is kizeh sha'avodas hamato, because the fact that the service of the one below, the tefillah, the prayer, meireres l'mayla esarotzin, arouses above the will, the wish, l'malis is bakoshosei, to fulfill his request, who beikar is mainly lifisha ba'avodas hamato, because in the service of the one below, yeshna hamayla de bitl hayesh, there is the advantage of the subjugation of the yesh, of his entity, his subjugation to Hashem, v'lochein, and therefore, kol shehat tefilohi bebitl godli yoser, and the more the prayer is with more subjugation, himeireres lamaylo lemaglas bakoshosei, that arouses above to fulfill his request. And this is that the tefillah is bringing up from below to above. It's milmata l'maylo, to subjugate and elevate, to stand before Hashem in a level of subjugation, of non-existence in front of Hashem. That's milmata l'maylo, to leave his level of mata and to subjugate himself to the above. Because requesting of the davening is in a way of subjugation, but often the eved hamevakish, that's in a way of a servant that is requesting. The inyan habitl, because what's the idea of bitl? Subjugate hu sheyoytze mimitzi usay that he goes out of his own existence, halo milmata l'maylo, going up from below and leaving yourself, you're going up to above, to Hashem. The Torah, but on the other hand, Torah hidvar Hashem. Torah is not like davening is the person. It's all about the person. He has to daven. Torah exists before the person learns also. The Torah hidvar Hashem. Torah is Hashem's word. Sheyeshne gam lifnei esek haTorah. The word of Hashem, even before the person learns Torah, the Torah is there. So what happens? Va'pu'ulo shenasis al yidei esek haTorah the ha'odom, the impact that takes place through the occupation of Torah, the person, he shehaTorah v'oire insof hamuluboshim bo nimshachim la'odom, is that the Torah, that the Torah, the Ein Sof, which is dressed in Torah, come to the person. So it's there from before, and you bring it down. And more than that. So first of all, it's there, and you're just bringing down the Ein Sof to yourself. But it's even more than that. Also bringing down the Torah and the Ein Sof that's dressed up to the person who learns Torah, it's not through the person negating his seichel, but on the contrary, you're not losing yourself. You're not going out of mitzias like by tefillah. You have to understand Torah. The Torah extends and dresses up in the intellect of the person as he is in his existence. This is hamshocha milmayla lamata. This is from extending from below to from above to below. Tefillah is expiration, losing your metzias and elevating. Torah is bringing down what's above to the person into his existence, into his intellect. So we can say the kemoy shebet Toiros, just like in Torah, hashaychel shelo leha inyan dilamato adein tachlis. When we say that the connection, the Torah is below to no end, hu lozeh sha'orin sof dilamata adein tachlis, is that the infinite light goes down all the ways to no end and below. The Torah, which is Hashem's wisdom and will, extends below. The same thing is in Davening, the tefillah, so when we say that tefillah is connected, that it's higher to no end, it's not just because that tefillah is the elevation of the person. The reason is because the Ein Sof is L'mayla Den Ketz, and that's why it is connected to the Inyan L'mayla Den Ketz, is because the Ein Sof is L'mayla Den Ketz. The Zeh Shal Yidei HaTefillah Misoyer Rotzon Chodesh, the fact that one davens, and you change around, you have an arousal of a new will. The Eibishter changes and makes a new will to heal the sick or whatever you're davening for, to fulfill the request of the one who davening. That would be even if, according to the wisdom of Torah, person isn't worthy then. So why does that happen? Because in the davening, there is an elevation in the light of above. Shehu mis'ale l'maylo mihishtalshelus, that the oir goes to higher than ishtalshelus. U'lemaylo gam ha'Torah, also higher than the Torah from which it comes down the mato. It goes up so high and l'maylo maylo then gets. Goes to no end. From there extends the new will of Hashem, changes around to fulfill His will. There is still an advantage in the Hamshacha Torah relative to the Hamshacha that comes to the Tefillah. Even though we're saying now that you get a Ratzon Chodesh through the Tefillah, from a place which is even higher where the Hamshacha of Torah comes from, but there is still an advantage in Hamshacha of Torah relative to Hamshacha through Davnik. The Hamshacha shall yidei HaTefillah. The Hamshacha through Davnik, even Shat Tefillah is Avodah Samata. Since prayer is the service of the one below, Lochein, Gam HaHamshacha Melamaylo Shal Yidei HaTefillah, also what comes down from above through the Davnik, He Benegel in Yonah Ha'olam. That is as it relates to worldly matters. It comes through the mata, and the response, Melamaylo, of the prayer is as it relates to worldly matter. Milui Bakosh Zamispalo, that's fulfilling the request of the Davnik. Elo, Sheshoidesh HaHamshacha, it's only that the root of this Hamshacha is higher and higher to no end. The Hamshacha de Torah, shehi Hamshacha milmaylo mitzad atzm. But the Hamshacha of Torah, which is the Hamshacha that comes on its own, not through the Avodas HaMata, because the Torah exists from before the Hamshachas Alakus, that's bringing down godliness. Shegam la'achrei sheyor Torah yordo lemata, even after the Torah descended below, b'nislabsha b'seichel anushi, and dressed up in a human intellect, b'chachmoseh shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu shelamayla b'seichel hanivroim. That is the wisdom of Hashem, which is beyond the intellect of the created being.